Hola, welcome to May 3rd.
Welcome to May.
I believe it's May already. Now, wait. Before we talk about can you believe it's May, what's the term that we all know for however many years?
Sell in May and go away.
Boom. Just in case anybody didn't hear that, that's the term. Neither of us are financial advisors, but that's the absolute truth. That's the markets. So, like it or not, it is what it is. There's nothing we can do about that. But we've had some interesting day, hey? So Powell.
Yeah,
Powell
I
and his
think,
rate hike.
Powell, just keeps talking about the fact they need to get the interest rate down to 2%, and it's still well above that. And they increased the rates another 0.25% today. So the American interest rate now is at 5.25%. They've increased it by 5% over 14 months. So you have to assume that soon they're going to slow down, but we just don't know when. And that's
They didn't say
obviously the
anything
reason
more
why
about
everything
that
is,
because I wasn't able to listen.
that's the reason why everything is
Um,
down today. I listened to his entire speech. One thing he said is that he thinks that we may have avoided a recession, which I thought was very positive. I think that's pretty obvious. So,
I don't feel that's obvious.
well, I
I
mean,
feel
the market
I
doesn't
feel
feel
like
like
jobs
it's a
just
recession. Stock market's done well. The housing market's going back up. Crypto's done well. So how is that a recession? I mean, unemployment's low in Canada and the United States. Unemployment in the United States is at 3%. I mean, it's
this
really
is what I
low
wanted.
unemployment.
So Charlie Munger has alerted to the fact that, and as you know, he controls a lot of stuff.
Yeah, but I'm not a fan of Charlie Munger. He also hates Bitcoin.
Most
So
people aren't, but he does
he
definitely.
also hates Bitcoin and says it's garbage.
Of course he does. But this is the point. It's not about what he likes and what he doesn't like. It's about the facts. So investing legend Charlie Munger flagged trouble in the US commercial property market. He's not the only one that's been doing this. They're all saying that all these commercial properties, because you know the hybrid work model that's come after the pandemic, a lot of commercial real estates are going to default because they're closing. Like a lot of office buildings are no longer office buildings post pandemic. And a lot of people are closing their extra offices in order to reduce costs. Like Amazon, Facebook, a lot of them have done this as well. A lot of
Absolutely.
top companies have closed a lot of their brick and mortar, which leaves that commercial real estate in limbo. That is what a lot of the loans are through the American banking system. So basically what they're saying it, well, it's right here. US banks are full of what Berkshire Hathaway characterized as bad loans. So when we had our last housing crisis in the 90s, it was bad loans in residential. And now it's all coming to light that these are bad loans in commercial.
I
That's
hear
pretty
you.
scary stuff. So look at the fact that he's saying, well, trouble happens to banking just like trouble happens anywhere else. In the good times, you get into good habits, but when the bad times come, they lose too much, right?
Yep.
So even Warren Buffett agrees that they're worried about the health of commercial real estate debt, and that's weighing on the banks. Analysis of debt tracking found that the four largest banks collectively have 62.9 billion in bad commercial loans. So that could still lead to a recession, which would probably be a bit of a challenge for Powell. The only thing is that stuff hasn't hit yet. So of course he's not going to allude to it because they're all saying it's coming. It's just not on the books yet. So Munger and Buffett have both said the banks are a no bueno right now. So Berkshire Hathaway said they're not willing to help out any banks, top four not. And now Charlie Munger is warning that it's getting uglier. So I think the signs are all there. They're just being stifled. Not only that, it's sell in May. So there's a lot of reasons, right?
Absolutely.
I don't
I
know.
mean, you got to play it safe.
Yeah.
Typically in the summertime, people go on vacation. They don't trade as much. They don't take as much risk. So we're obviously watching the markets all the time. So, I mean,
Oh
that
yeah.
doesn't really
My God.
affect us. But I think, you have to understand that a lot of people will be selling in May and going away until September.
Exactly. and we're already seeing it. Like there's such a, going through the list that we have here, there's like a really good, there's a balance in here, but nothing's really green and things are turning red. And I think it's May. Actually, we're watching the US 30 now. This looks like it's gonna set to keep going down. However, oh, my Bitcoin isn't here. Oh, there it is. Let's take a look. Doesn't that look like we're building a support here?
Yeah, it's just been bouncing around 27 to 30, I guess.
Yeah.
27 to 31, that zone.
Yeah.
And yeah, and it just seems as though a lot of people that were maybe trading this and buying this under 20 might be selling right now. People that have been holding for a while might be selling right now. At some point, with the mass adoption that continues to come into Bitcoin, the price will just keep going higher. And we just eat through all the sellers.
Totally. So as we've been basically, so you know, the last week we were in our Bitcoin conference, and a few stragglers had hung around until about a little while ago, a little while ago today. But yesterday I asked, because I know how to look at, you remember when we first started doing Bitcoin with the club and we were watching like Bitcoin Explorer and we were watching like, you know, the wallets that were growing and the hashes that were happening.
Yep,
So last week when we were in session, we were talking about Michael Saylor's lightning conference, right?
yep,
So it started on Monday. And then yesterday I asked one of these Bitcoin developers, I said, have you noticed an increase in Bitcoin since Monday, like since yesterday when this Michael Saylor conference went up? And yes, the hash volume had gone up a lot yesterday,
there you go.
a little bit Monday, a lot yesterday. And then it wasn't my idea, but it should have been because I just wasn't thinking straight. Then another one says, well, let's just look at how hashing is going on Lightning. And the Lightning network yesterday was like reaching, it was doing well. It had like more transactions than normal.
Very
So
nice.
that I think is the Michael Saylor effect. Pretty crazy, hey?
Yeah, I mean, he's a very powerful guy. He has a huge influence. A lot of businesses are starting to come in, and I think that this is just going to get bigger.
That's right. That's right. And then we had
And just to put our disclaimer out there, everything we talk about is for information and education purposes. Full disclaimer, I do own, I'm one of the 1 million wallets in the world that have one or more Bitcoin and one or more Ethereum. So when I talk about Bitcoin, there is a conflict of interest there. Don't buy it just because I buy it and I own it. I'm not telling you to buy it, but I believe in it. Been talking about Bitcoin since 2017 when it was at 1,000. Today it's at 28,000. So it's obviously done extremely well over the last 6 years. And I believe as more and more educate themselves about the power of Bitcoin, like you've been doing, the price will continue to go higher.
I think it is. There's
And I
just seems
mean, you've been
to be like so many
living with
catalysts.
Bitcoin uh, people for like a week. So I'm sure you're probably more excited about Bitcoin now than you've ever been.
You know what I think this week I think I'm equally excited about Bitcoin before this, but one thing that really stuck with me this week is I learned a lot about privacy. That's the one thing that these Bitcoin developers really talk about a lot is privacy. So I've learned that privacy and sovereignty is like, and that's why the Lightning Network is so big, right? Because think about it this way. When you choose to transact on Bitcoin, unless you're transacting directly through your ledger or your Trezor or something, or Cold Note or whatever, there's going to be some part of it that has your name attached, like your KYC, right? Your
Yeah.
KYC, your exchange, or blah, blah, blah. So if you make any transactions, like we've had customers come into the cafe and want to pay over their Coinbase on chain. Well, that means that Coinbase knows that you're in Merida and Green Bay Coffee. So that's not that's not good for a lot of people who are living a free sovereign life. So there's all these developers who, that's the main thing about Lightning, is because you can transact and it doesn't have your name on it. Not only that, you can transact smallest amounts. We just transacted 1 Satoshi. Like you can't even fraction a cent out of 1 Satoshi. I think it's like a 20th of a cent, something like that. and it literally transacted in a half a second. Literally sent 1 Satoshi, a 20th of a cent. Like you can, and it's not attached to anything. Then, so you're transacting privately, and then you can move it to your cold storage. Isn't that cool? That's the power of the Lightning Network. So that's what makes Bitcoin much more transactable. It costs like a couple Satoshis, like a 20th of a cent to send a transaction. It's not like that on Unchain or Monero or XRP or Stellar or any of the others. So that's the catalyst, I think, that is taking Bitcoin out. But privacy is the name of the game. Everybody's developing for privacy. This morning we had Craig, who built Sparrow Wallet in, and I didn't know too much about Sparrow yet, and Sparrow's cool. So but it's just more for a techier people. Like I'm not ready for a Sparrow Wallet. Like he was telling me they built it so that you learn more as you use the wallet. I guess it has a teaching function.
Oh, wow.
But
That's cool.
yeah, I know. I'm gonna download it and get into it. He told me about a video to watch to help walk you through. But yeah, he said it's for people like us who have been Bitcoiners. We believe in sovereignty, which is why we cold store on our ledger, right? And but he said this is like a way to bridge people like us into the next level of sovereignty. So there is people who are building solutions for people like us who just don't feel comfortable running your own node, because I don't. So I think it's pretty cool. I'm really excited about that. There's a lot of developments going on. It's really insane. But truly, that's the name of the game, privacy. We learned about, you know how Etsy, you know, there's an Etsy that you pay X number of dollars for a listing, but then they know it. Listen to this. There's this woman living here in Merida, and she's from Russia. She was living here with her husband. She married a Mexican man years ago. So she's been living here for like 6 or 7 years. And she was selling, she's an amazing artist, and she was selling her art on Etsy. However, her entire career was shut down. As soon as all the sanctions came, Etsy, who is a US company, basically shut down her lifeline. She lost her whole business. Just in like that. So yeah, she had built her business over years. She was making a good income. She was like, for an artist, she was pulling in over 100K a year remotely. That's pretty good USD for an artist living remotely. For sure. Right down to zero. They just took it all away. So terrible. I can't even imagine what she went through. So then she was smart. She started to accept Bitcoin for her art. Well, there's this other group. We just learned it. It's called Plebeian Market. I'll type it in the chat so you can see it. Plebeian Market. There's actually 2 B's, but it won't let me do it. Plebeian Market. So the developer of Plebeian Market made basically an Etsy for Bitcoin. That's what it is.
Interesting.
It's 21 Satoshis for a listing. So it'd be like 5 cents or something, 2 cents maybe. And you're seen by Bitcoiners all over the world. And there's high level Bitcoiners who are actually just buying things on there because they want to support it to get going. So there's a lot of developments coming to make this ecosystem, like Bitcoin is becoming a currency. Whether it becomes a global reserve currency or not, there's a lot of smart people who are doing everything they can to create a private economy for us to transact in. It's pretty cool, hey?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of Bitcoin people.
Do you have the VIX on here? Because remember we talked about the VIX hitting a bottom and bouncing?
I sure do.
And it just starting to bounce. And I wanted to buy it, and it just kept going down. And I was like, man, at some point this market's going to come down. It doesn't hold 34K on the Dow, and boom.
Yeah,
like we talked about it on your show. We talked about it bouncing.
It's already bouncing since we were here last.
Yeah, and it's starting to really bounce now because the market's starting to come down from the top.
Exactly. Like, look how green this list is. This is our volatility list.
Remember last week you asked me, where do I think the market's going to go? And I said down.
Yep. I agree. And like, I think we were pretty strong in our conviction on that last week. So strong
Yeah.
that the power went off. But the truth is, it's true. It's sell in May and go away. Then we have, yes, it's only a 0.25 rate hike, but the fact that Powell didn't say when that's going to end, that 0.25 could turn into a 10 later after you compound a bunch of them, right?
Yeah, well, it's compounded to 5.25 in 14 months.
Exactly. So that's what the market has to digest. Like the fact that we're looking at the US 30, oh yeah, we got to go back into these. The facts that we're looking at the US 30 and we see it's just starting to come down. So 0.7% red on the US 30 and the whole VIX is green by like 3%-ish, right?
Yeah.
And it's been what, 30 minutes?
Yep.
So yeah, I think what we need to do is just give people some time. I think it didn't go too red yet because they were like, oh, it's only a 0.25, but they're not thinking the compound, right? People just go for that original headline and they come in. They're not thinking that it's sell in May and it's the compound. So our job is to find where the opportunities are going to be, right? Because there's still going to be opportunities.
Yeah, I
We
mean,
just
there's
have
always opportunities in the market, whether you're making money up or down.
Exactly. So we still got them. But what I find is very cool is that last time everyone was in fear and panic, and we talked about this, is 2018, 2019, Bitcoin and gold ran as the digital safe havens. Because that's when we started to say Bitcoin was a digital safe haven, right? Remember that?
Yep.
We saw them run together.
Yep.
So gold has held the 2000 for a couple days now. And it looks like they're going to pop. So the fact that gold, wow, look at the 1 hour candle.
Yeah, gold is just ripping.
Oh, hey, let's go to, oh, wow. Look at the 15. Okay, so this is happening to gold right now. That's powerful. That was just 6 hours ago? Yeah, literally. That was 6 hours ago. Okay,
Everybody's
so
looking for a
pretty
safe
much
haven and they're putting their money into gold.
exactly. Like this is telling a story, right? About not just what people are doing in the US, it's telling a story about what other countries are doing in relation to what the US is doing, right?
Yep.
So we talked when we did our, do you remember we did our gold standard session not that long ago? And we were talking about like gold's never been able to hold that 2000, but it didn't have a catalyst to hold that 2000 because the oil always recovered, the Dixie always recovered. So it wasn't able to hold it ever. Remember, we had like a
Yep.
pretty heated argument on that.
Yep.
Because it's true, it's never been able to hold, but the amount of momentum you see here in the catalyst, like when we did that gold session, they were saying that Poland, Iran, Russia, all these countries were stockpiling gold at faster levels than they ever had before. So this does not necessarily mean that it's just US based. This could just be the whole world seeing what's happening and every other country is stockpiling it because it's the digital safe haven that they know, right?
Yep.
So I see an inverted head and shoulders forming, which should be a pop right off that level.
Yeah, I mean, it looks really bullish. Just a few days ago, I was talking about how it couldn't hold 2000, and now it looks like it's just ripping through 2000 like butter.
Well, that's it. Like I actually didn't, because remember yeah, you said that. And then I was like, oh, you're right. It's coming back up to 2000. And then we hit it just the other day, last week when we were on live. It was at 2000 and just came back to that. And then I was like, oh, here we are at the 2000. I guess we're going to pull back, but we're green. That's a lot of green. However, the last two times since July 20, that's 3 years now, right? 2.5 years.
Sells off that area.
Exactly. So caution to anybody who feels like me saying the time is right, the momentum is big, it still pulls back. So this could just be like an auto thing that there's a lot of people that have these orders set to go. And when it goes, right? So be very careful at 2068. If we bust through that, that's going to be a next level conversation. So I'm excited to see what a week brings in gold, but I think it's going to be big. Oil's coming down. I think that's false. I think it's going to do a flippening. Does this seem weird to you that oil's going down?
I mean, in this market, it's hard to predict what's going to happen with anything. I think there's a lot of manipulation.
Yeah, we can't
Um,
predict. You could just think.
and it's hard, obviously I'm invested in COMT and this doesn't help me when this goes down, but I seen it just go down recently and then it came back up to 80 and
Yeah.
now it's back down to 68. So, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Like, this is a very key area for oil. You can see here, it very rarely stays above this area for long.
It's like a
So it's a
reactive
key
area.
area for oil.
Yeah. I think it was an important idea to pull this up because that's exactly what I wanted to say. We need to take a look at this chart and see what happened in the past because this is like pretty important. So the catalysts are all there because of supply and demand. What I think is happening is that people aren't looking at the oil right now because they're thinking it's probably time to short their banks. And I think it's coming down with the economy. I feel like it's going to pop independently. So when I was reviewing the charts from 2018, 2019, and when the dollar went down, so did oil. Do you remember that was like the same crash?
Yep.
But they didn't have the catalyst that we have now. There was no supply and demand on oil like there is right now. So the fact that like Russia and Saudi and everyone's turned the taps off on the US and they've used up a ton of their reserves, a ton of their reserves, it's possible that this dip right here could come all the way to here and still actually be totally okay in normal rhythm. Because if people are being dumb and they're like, oh, all right, the US dollar is suffering, so oil is going to suffer. But they're not realizing that oil is so damn expensive and the US almost has no reserves that it's surely going to go up. Now it's just a matter of time preference, I think. Like we do risk this dip to here, but then it's a matter of time preference. Can you handle it while we wait for for the prices of the demand to cook in, right? Did that come out right?
Yeah, I
So
mean, like I said, in this market, anything is possible. You can see that chart, it's gone up and down. It's very
yeah,
manipulated. And honestly, I don't know. I honestly don't know where oil is going to go from here. I think that at some point we will hit 100 again. I just don't know when. I think it could happen later in the fall. So we'll see. We'll see if it happens or not. But it's really hard to predict right now because based on that chart, it can go either up or down from here.
yeah, it totally can. It's impossible. All we can do is run on catalysts on it, I think. And that's why I wanted to have that combo. I brought this one back up. We had it in our list last week because they've moved into, they got some AI stuff going on. And I just wanted to show you that it's starting to rise. So we talked about it last week and it's coming up, but there's a big, like, there's a nice candle on it. So I just want to let you know we might be seeing some momentum on this.
Okay.
Last week, now this looks like ugly right now, okay? Like it looks ugly because they're down 8%. But I really don't think that's so dramatic. I didn't like I have plans to have Riot, Mara, and Galaxy in my portfolio. I still have neither. Do you have any of them?
No.
Right. Well, it's bothering me that I don't. It's bothering me that I don't. I think I was hoping last week when we talked that if we were going to have a dip on Mara, it would come down to 850. And I don't know if we're going to get there because it still looks so strong to me. This candle here started to, I've been watching closely. This is the weekly, guys. I've been watching this closely because I was hoping we were going to come down to that $8, but I don't even know. I really don't think so because this is looking like we're growing some higher highs. So as long as we can get Bitcoin to follow gold, I don't know if Riot's going to stay down much longer. Mara, same, but HUT, okay, I put it in order for HUT. So I have BTBT, which I'm down on. Not by much now, like little, but I'm still down on it. And I've been at, like, it's taken me a whole year of averaging down to make my bread not so small. And my Bit Farms is just riding on the edge because I got back in not long ago. But HUT I need because not that long ago, HUT was playing like that $3 to $5 range really, really, really well. And I know Pete was in our group and he was just killing it. And I was like, okay, fine. When it comes back to 3, I'm gonna tap it. And then I didn't. And then I'm grateful for that because now it's at $1.74. But it's holding. So, anyways, needless to say, I got in here this morning and I put in an order. Oh, not $1.24 is my order. So if we can retest this area, which I think we will, unless Bitcoin has like a mad spike, but if we're gonna have like a little bit of a drama day, that's why I did that. So I don't know if I'm gonna get picked up or not. C'est la vie.
I think that would be a good entry point.
Yeah, it just seems like, yeah, it's a discount, but it just looks like it's gonna tap it, doesn't it? If it
Yeah.
doesn't, fine. I'm not gonna chase it.
I mean, especially if Bitcoin dips back down.
Exactly. So, but I mean, who knows if it will? It depends on how people like digest this Powell stuff. It really all comes down to that. MicroStrategy is down 7%, but look at the chart. That's not down to me, right? It's literally sitting at the top of the mozone.
Yeah.
It really wants to fly. I was looking at the list of who was on the docket and the MicroStrategy thing. Wow. Let me just show you. Can you see my Google if I do this?
Yep.
Okay.
Powell speaks following FOMC meeting. That's what it's showing. Hello? I guess Amanda might have some internet issues. We always joke that her internet sucks. She tries to tell me that her internet's really good, but clearly it sucks. I'm in Canada. She always tries to say her internet's faster than mine. Clearly it's not because it goes out every time we do a live session from Mexico. Her internet goes out. So I hope she remembers this day because it's been happening consistently every time we do a training that we can't get through 1 hour without her internet disconnecting or her internet going out in Mexico. So yeah, so Powell got a chance to do his thing today and he increased rates by 0.25%. Today is May 3rd. And because of that, everything is down today. Stocks are down, cryptos are down, oil is down. The only thing up today is gold. Pretty much across the board, everything else is down. Qualcomm just did a revenue beat despite that. And they did a earning per share beat, but despite that, the stock is still down 2.91%. So Qualcomm just reported their earnings. Qualcomm right now down 2.77%. But they did issue a weak third quarter earning per share outlook. So companies are just reporting right now. There's earnings being reported as we speak. If you'd like to join RichTV, you can join our community at RichTV.io.